Alright everybody, this is Burt from SoftTubes and I'm here with a film review, and today it is Spider-Man Far From Home. So, straight away, this Far From Home review is a little bit late. It took a little bit of time to see it, and then I was kind of busy before and after it, so I didn't have a lot of time to get this together. But given that it is basically been out a week so far, really I'm just not going to try to avoid spoilers. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want it spoiled, I'd recommend not watching this, basically. And then coming back afterwards if you want to see what I thought. So yeah, basically jumping into it, Spider-Man Far From Home is the 23rd MCU film, the 7th live-action Spider-Man film, and the 3rd Spider-Man 2 film, or second in of the Spider-Man franchises. And with a legacy like that, you would think that this film would be full of stale ideas and concepts and things like that. Yet, surprisingly, they managed to kind of pull off this in a way that I didn't expect, with new things to introduce and fresh ideas to explore. And it makes for probably the most fun Spider-Man so far. And quite arguably, the best Spider-Man so far. Ignoring Spider-Verse, which is phenomenal, best of the live-action Spider-Man so far, this may be the best. But that isn't to say everything here is perfect. In some ways, far from it. So firstly, and perhaps most prominently, it's a film that has a problem a lot of the MCU films have, I feel, in some ways. And not necessarily a problem, it's just a way they do it, which can be a problem for certain people, is that it rests too much on the fact it is part of the MCU. And so it doesn't really take any time to introduce any characters or ideas that much. It does it really quick when it does it at all. And it pretty much does nothing to introduce Tom Holland as Peter Parker Spider-Man. That isn't really an issue if you've seen all of the other MCU films, or at least the ones that are most relevant to this, which are basically Civil War, Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame. And then you should be pretty much caught up. You might also want the other Iron Man films, but I don't think they're as necessary, since those other ones introduced most of the stuff already. But if you're coming into it with fresh eyes, you're probably going to get lost kind of quickly. Especially because it doesn't really introduce the main characters. It sort of does, but it doesn't spend a lot of time of letting you know, or using anything to let you know this is our main character. Unless you sort of already know that he is. Which I feel like you probably wouldn't be going into this film unless you knew, but there will be people who will, because that's just how people are. Like, sometimes they're like, alright, fine, I'll check out the new one. It also steps quickly past certain things, such as the fact that half the population disappeared in Infinity War, and then came back 5 years later in Endgame. Which does allow them to push the film forward to its own adventure, yet even then, the film kind of starts off slowly for the first half, before picking up a lot in the second half. It's a really, really good film. The second half, it might be a bit slow for some people in that first half. Now, personally, I'm a big fan of the human drama of Marvel superheroes, so I love watching Peter interacting with the regular people around him. But it perhaps isn't paced well enough, leading to the film sort of suddenly deciding like, oh, it's been a bit too long since we've had action, so it tries to inject some action in some ways that might feel a little out of character or out of place. It tries to just build up a bit of excitement so that they can keep rolling with the European vacation, essentially. The second opening of the film, because there's two technically, the first one centers on Mysterio and Fury and Hill, and the second one is a newsfeed for the school, and it's about basically with Andrew Rice's Betty Brant. It basically focuses on a memoriam, a tribute, I should say, to all the characters that all the characters that died in Infinity War and Endgame. And also sort of dealing with the bit of a summary of the event that they now called to the blip, which is the people disappearing and coming back. That whole thing is just wonderfully awkward and funny, and it's a really great start to the film, and it helps make this film definitely stand apart from Endgame, which is a little bit darker. Not as dark as Infinity War, but still a bit darker. The only issue is it does make it kind of feel like they were just like, okay, we've done that. We've done that exposition, we can move on. But it doesn't actually explain everything. So it is a little bit empty in that regard. It would have been nice to have something a little bit more, I think. But it is still a really, really good sequence in itself. Honestly, this is perhaps the best live-action representation of Spider-Man, simply in terms of how he moves and fights and sort of just does things. You can see that they've figured it out over the time, and especially with advancing technology, that they know how to sort of make him work. It's also my favorite film for the fact that they show that Peter is actually really smart. One of my biggest gripes with the Raimi films is that they do this thing where they keep on telling you, like, oh, Peter Parker's a really smart kid. They never show him doing anything intelligent. They just keep telling you that he's intelligent. And that isn't a good technique, essentially. You're telling me, you're not showing me. Where this, they don't really ever say, like, oh, that Peter Parker's smart. They show you him being smart. And that is actually really, really good. It ties into some things I'm not necessarily a fan of as much, but it is still really good sequences. And so they also managed to capture Mysterio in the best way possible. Now, this is the big spoiler. It kind of gives it away saying it's a spoiler, but if you're still here after the warning at the start, this is your last chance to get out. Because, yeah, basically, let's get into it, that this is Mysterio, the best depiction of the villainous self he is in the comics. It's all deception and illusion, with a really clever modern take on what would work for him using stuff previously established in the MCU. And this does lead into another big issue that I know a few people have, and I sort of have to an extent, is that the film not only leans on the fact that it's MCU, it leans on Iron Man pretty heavily. And perhaps that draws a bit too much away from Spider-Man, but I honestly feel that after Endgame and after everything they've set up with Spider-Man in this universe, there was no real way around that. It had to tie into Tony pretty heavily, being that Tony was a father figure to him. So you did need that in there pretty heavily, and I think they still show Spider-Man able to be Spider-Man pretty damn well despite that. Moving on to acting, like, Tom Holland is a damn gift and continues to bring fun and talent to a role that the same stuff that he's brought since the start, but he's obviously really comfortable in that role now. He understands what he's doing to a really good extent, that he is just great to watch in every scene. All of the supporting cast do a really good job. Some of them may get kind of stale stuff, like they may not get enough fresh stuff all the time to work with, but they still do a good job of what they're given. Favreau as Happy is once again just a joyful involvement. I love Happy. He's just this really fun, warm kind of character that's really good to always see, especially interacting with different parts of the MCU. Battling as Ned is fun, even if he doesn't necessarily get as much to do here specifically, and more with Peter. But his relationship with Betty, like Ned's and Betty's relationship, is just super fun. And it's very real, kind of a teenage relationship would be. Jackson and Smolders bring back much of what people like about their Fury and Hill respectively. Zendaya I really loved in this film, especially after she doesn't have a lot to do in Homecoming, really. But I feel like this little thing she does here that makes MJ feel like a very real character. There's certain ways she does the voice and little like mannerisms and stuff that is really, really good. And in some ways, there's parts of her that kind of remind me of my teenage self, so I really connected with her MJ, in that she feels like she's the kind of person who feels separate from other people in some ways, and so she's taken to embracing the weirdness that she already has a little bit of, and kind of pushing that, and then kind of using it as a barrier of sorts to explain and sort of justify why she's separate. Even though she really wants to be connected to people, she just sort of goes like, oh, well, this is what people expect. This is kind of like, this at least gives me something unique where I'm not following a crowd. So I'm going to throw up this barrier of weirdness. And I think it's just really, really good and very real. And I just related to it in such a damn way that I really want to see more of her MJ going forward. But really, Jake Gyllenhaal is the standout here. Like, Gyllenhaal is a fantastic actor. I think I might have talked about this before, but I've definitely told a lot of friends about how Gyllenhaal's one of those guys that you may never, when people ask who's your favorite actor, you may not think of him, but you probably find it hard to think of a movie where you didn't like him. Even when he plays like unlikable people, he's still good in those roles where you're not like, that Gyllenhaal was such terrible in that role. Like, it's just like, no, I didn't like his character that much. You will like the way he does it. And he's just, he possibly made what for me is the best MCU villain yet. The one that I enjoyed the most watching. You so want to trust him just so much that when the turn comes in the film, when he reveals his villainous ways, because he does start off portraying himself as a hero, I still wasn't totally sure that I believed it. And what a turn it was. What should have been this really corny, bad monologue scene is something truly special in his hands that just pulls everything together and helps recraft a character you've already been introduced to. It's just... it's just, there's a believable mania to his Mysterio that manages to take a villain who by all accounts should not be, not like likable, in fact, like, I really like that Mysterio guy, but at least like understandable, given how petty his grievances truly are. You should just be like, he's a freaking terrible villain, like, blah, whatever, he's just after that, whatever. He makes him really fun to watch and really likable in that way. And it's just a really, really impressive thing. Like, he makes a man surrounded by an elaborate costume and CGI believable. And that's difficult. And he helps sell what may be one of the trippiest parts in a superhero film yet, and possibly the best sequence in a Spider-Man film. Now, as well as all the main film, there are 2 post-credit scenes, and both of which are super important to the future of the MCU. So if you're already invested, you have to watch them. Also, the first one, if you've watched Spider-Man films, the first one is really, really good. It's that there's... I mean, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but I'm going to fucking say it. I wasn't trying to avoid spoilers, and then I was like, maybe I'll avoid this one, but no, I'm going to say it. Like, bringing back J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson is just genius, because he does it so well. Why would you change it? Like, some people might argue, like, oh, then why did you change anyone else? But I think everyone in this film is doing a damn good job, and J.K. was so good, and it's just a fun little thing. But yeah, people will accept it too. It's not like if you brought back Maguire for some reason as Spider-Man, people will be like, wait, is this the same films? Like, I don't know. JK as J. Jonah works. It works so well. And selling him as this kind of like InfoWars, Alex Jones type character, setting him up as a different kind of antagonist for Spider-Man, in one very short sequence, doing that so well is freaking genius, and I love it so much. It's one of those, like, I have really, like, physically, like, openly, like, clapped and stuff, like, twice that I can think of in a film. One was Thor arriving in Infinity War, like, I clapped at that. The second was JK arriving as J. Jonah. I clapped that, and it was so good. I just had so much fun with Far From Home. and I wanted to see it again almost immediately afterwards, and I'm gonna try and see it again this week at some point. So I have to give this film 4.5 out of 5 stars. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This one I had a few issues at different points, so it's going to be a little bit more cut up than normal. I apologize for that if it's a bit off-putting. Unfortunately, yeah, stuff happened. This one, I've had a big weekend. I was up until like freaking 2 last night because I played D&D until 1, and then got home and I had to take care of a couple of things and eat and stuff like that. So I didn't get to bed till late, and now I'm trying to get this all done. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you thought of Far From Home in the comments below. If you think there's anything I missed bringing up, definitely bring it up. It might be stuff I've thought of, but I just didn't think to bring up here. I know there's a lot of stuff that I didn't have really time to really fit it all in that I wanted to really talk about. I would love talking about Mysterio a lot more. But yeah, if you liked this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you didn't like it, make sure you hit the dislike button. Oh, well, don't make sure. I mean, you could just not do it. But anyway, and if you're new to the channel and you like film reviews, you like trailer reactions, I'm definitely going to react to the Knives Out trailer. I was hoping to do that at the end of last week, didn't get a chance. There's a couple other trailers I've seen that if there's nothing new that's kind of come out that's really important to jump on, I'll probably just fill in with those. So yeah, if you love that stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you want to make sure you know whenever a new one goes up, you can hit that bell. I'm not a big fan of the bell because sometimes it just gets annoying when just things get alerted at you, especially if you have a few things doing it. But yeah, if you really want to know when I've got a new reaction up or whatever, they're typically 1 per day. Maybe a couple if there's something really important, or if I'm trying to like make up for something. I have been a bit lax the last couple of weeks, so I might do a couple extras this week. We'll find out if I have time. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
This is Mr. Beck.
Oh,
Could use someone like you on my world.
Your world? Beck is from Earth, just not ours. The snap to our hole in our dimension.
what?
You're saying there's a multiverse?
We have a job to do, and you're coming with us.
Interesting.
There's gotta be someone else you can